Do you believe that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent?
There's just a fundamental disagreement there where Sneako believes anything that's entertainment driven is just...
So Sneako Sneako decided to finally talk to Moist Cr1TikaL about everything, I guess. Yeah, I watched the interview at least 3 times, just to try and get some segments. So I've got a few different timestamps to go to that I've got saved right here. So let me bring the, and I'll probably put the I'll put the gameplay in the background, and I'm gonna turn down the game to very close to you can't hear it. So let me make sure that Opera is going. Okay, we've got, oh wow, we got the right one this time. Amazing. Alright. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. Anyway. So, this is Moist Cr1TikaL, Penguin Zero on YouTube, great guy. You can find him pretty much anywhere. Decided to talk to Sneako. And I thought it was kind of interesting, and these timestamps aren't in order, by the way. I just wanted to go through the ones that I thought were the most interesting in the order that I thought they were interesting. So, I'm trying to remember. I think this is the one where they talk about Andrew Tate. So, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to listen and do things at the same time.
I would have liked to ask more on that, but I guess I'll do it now in post. Which it seems like you can recognize.
Do you believe that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent?
That I don't know. They could be, and I've said that from the start.
You don't have a belief on that?
Well, because I...
See, this is always the thing about Moist Cr1TikaL. He is extremely fair about his opinions, usually. And typically, he does a lot more on the joking side than he does really on the believing side. So, to me, like, I think this question is kind of just Sneako trying to figure out, like, where does Charlie really stand? Can I be genuine with him, or do I have to go back into the act?
I don't have the evidence. They've been charged twice with the human trafficking, but none of the evidence is public.
Okay, so I was kind of wrong on that one in the last video. I didn't know what they were charged with, or if we knew the charges, so... Apparently they were charged twice with human trafficking, so that's
look at all the victims and their allegations and how everything was exposed on WhatsApp, how they plan to make a Netflix movie out of this. All that was online. I think...
But then...
see, if you cover current events, this is something you jump onto the pizza box, but you don't take the time to go and look at all the evidence that was debunked.
That's not true, though, because...
Like, why do you spend the narrative laughing at somebody falsely in prison, but you can't go and just look at a couple screenshots and see that as garbage? You're laughing at the pizza box putting 2 people in jail because of what you saw on Twitter. When I say the word faggot or I say a slur, it's just a funny word.
Awesome. I did not... Whoop-de-fucking-do... Oh, well, I'm probably not going to get struck for that. God damn it. I really should have figured that one out.
There's no consequences for that. Nobody goes to jail falsely.
I have looked at the evidence from both sides. I always do. I don't just go to these tribes and just assume everything on my side is right and everything on that side is wrong. I take information from all angles in order to find where I personally sit on this perspective, on this situation. So, for the Tate brothers, being charged twice with human trafficking, while there is some shady shit from the victims, there is still real merit to some of the things that people were talking about, such as something you talked about as well. The taking of the passports from some of the women and getting there under the guise that they would be able to date them. Those are very odd, very peculiar things. So it's not like it's just, oh, all of that's wrong and we have to disregard all of it because this is here. There is, on both sides here, evidence that makes it a very complicated case, which is why it's gone on for so long, right? It's not one where I know the answer. They could be innocent. They could be guilty. I do think it's weird they've now been charged twice. There is some very odd things there because that's not exactly a light thing to come after someone for. And there is things that you have talked about.
Do you think that it's wrong that people can go to jail for 4 months without any evidence or charges?
And even outside of the Tates, I have said that in this country, where you can go to jail on suspicion of things without ever being charged. It's a problem. Yes, it is a problem.
See, this is what's interesting to me and what Charlie is saying. What he's saying is, like, no real surprise to anyone. And I think most people would agree with, like, Charlie and what he's saying. It just seems like Sneako doesn't understand that Charlie isn't taking a side specifically. And this seems to be a problem amongst most people who fall in like these Andrew Tate camps. They don't understand, like, how can someone like not find him innocent, but at the same time sit there and go, there is evidence. Because I think, in my opinion, I think Charlie's right. There's plenty of evidence to suggest he has done some shady shit. And it's interesting that he was charged twice, and they couldn't get him on either one. Seems a little too good to be true, at least to me. I mean, but Sneako sounds so confused with, like, I can't believe you don't think he's fully innocent. I can't believe... Whereas Charlie is just simply saying, there are good parts about this and there are bad parts. And right now, you know, it's bad that they held him in jail for something that no one can apparently confirm nor deny. And yet, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, now they're just free and everything else. Granted, I think this was recorded before they knew he was free, but it's like, it's strange. It's strange to hear the way, like, Sneako is actually being so genuine when he's asking Charlie these questions. Dude, you can tell because usually when he's in a debate setting, he's completely, like, he's a complete moron and pretends like everyone else is stupid except him. So, to me, this comes across as, like, the most genuine we're going to see him. Probably. Let's see, is there anything more in this clip?
I didn't see that video. I saw the video laughing about the pizza box putting him in jail.
Right.
Did you make a video about that?
I think everyone laughed at the pizza box, Sneako. Not just people in Charlie's camp or anti-Andrew Tate camps.
Yes, and I talked. Well, it's in that video where I say I don't know if he's guilty. I don't like if there's real victims here. Like, I would never celebrate someone being a human trafficker because there's victims. I wouldn't celebrate him being a human trafficker. That means there are real victims there. Even though I disagree with, like, his Hustlers University and a lot of the dumb shit he says, I wouldn't want him to be a human trafficker. That means there are real victims being in terrible situations. I did say that, and I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. Nobody does right now, except for them and whatever's going on in Romania. The joking about a pizza box is things I make about anything that has craziness around it, like the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. There's so much silliness there that I talk about, but at the end of the day, I don't know who's innocent or guilty. I'm joking about the goofiness of things that have come up, right?
See, and this so earlier, and I'm not sharing everything. Like, this video is super long, and personally, I think that I'm just finding the bits that I found to be the most interesting because I think that they're the most eye-opening. But I think it's interesting how Sneako represents this argument as like, oh, I can't believe you don't think that, like, he's fully innocent or this or that or the other. And the fact that, like, Charlie is sitting here going, oh, I look at it because it's kind of goofy. I mean, seriously, think about it. Pizza boxes led to the arrest of someone. How can you not find that kind of funny, kind of goofy? And Sneako just seemingly has been lost in the joke. It's like he doesn't understand what the joke is. And he's just incapable of understanding that it's a joke. And is that it for this clip? I think it is.
Yeah, I gotta get going.
Now, he mentioned...
Yeah, okay, so that's the end of that clip. Which one is this?
Boxing fight.
Okay, so this is the Brandon. The only reason I'm doing the Brandon Buckingham one is because I think that it's kind of eye-opening. The mind of Sneako is really interesting in this conversation. Why he won't go and fight someone like Brandon Buckingham, who's more or less the actual, like, size requirement in order to fight him. If you don't know, like, Charlie can't physically box Sneako, not because of, like, anything like that, but because of the height classes and the weight classes. I think Sneako is way taller than he is, and thus he can't actually fight him, and heavier as well. He's in like a completely separate ring of just all this crap. So to me, this kind of comes across as a more as a weirder segment. Not necessarily him being disingenuous, but very much in the guise of he's not really telling the truth, and he's more or less saying, I didn't want to fight you, you know, I didn't want to fight someone my own size because it would be too fair. You know, I don't think he's saying that. I genuinely think that Sneako knows very little about the boxing scene or stuff like that, and that's why he wanted to fight Charlie instead of Brandon.
But on the same side of that coin, you won't take Brandon Buckingham up on that boxing fight. The whole point was, I don't stand by my beliefs because I won't fight you for it. Well, with that perspective, why wouldn't you fight Brandon Buckingham when you feel so strongly about your beliefs and he says the same things I do? Wouldn't you want to prove
because
that you stand...
the first fight that I want to take would be against somebody, one, who has more clout than me, two, I disagree with...
See, okay, I didn't hear that when I was listening to this originally. That's interesting. He wants to do it for clout. Huh. That's something interesting. But you know what? No, it's not. And I'll explain why. We basically knew Sneako was like this. We know that Sneako does a lot of the stuff he does for clicks and views. That's obviously a part of the whole Hustlers University with Andrew Tate. It's more they do it more because it's easy money than they do because it's truth. So that's interesting.
Ideologically, I don't disagree with him ideologically at all.
But he says the same things I say about you.
This person has been obsessed for a long time. He's suing me for emotional distress. Personally, I don't care about this person, and there's no...
He's suing you because you called him a rapist. Let's not beat around the bush here. You could, you know, Sneako called what's his face, Brandon Buckingham, a rapist. And you'll see that more as it goes in. Hey, Volt. You'll see this a lot more as Brandon, or not as Brandon, as Sneako talks about Brandon. He uses words like R word to describe it instead of just flat out saying like, oh, he threatened to rape. It's very strange, but I do think that this is him being honest. I think that this is all part of his game that he plays with his fans, where it's like, okay, if I don't say the word, then the other person's bad. The other person said it, not me. And we've seen that a lot of the time with, like, Destiny, where Destiny will beat around a word, he'll do things, and then, bam, he hit, you know, and the second they say it, they go, okay, wait a minute, no, you just you implied something I didn't say at all. That's what I get from Sneako, except I don't think he knows how to do that quite well. Yeah.
No benefit for me to take my first fight with this person.
So then
if I fought somebody I challenged...
So then
the reason I was banned on Twitter for challenging Hasanabi to a fight, one, because a lot of people want to see that. He's well known. He disagrees with me completely. There's a lot of tension for that fight. If I fought you, you have said a lot of things that are very negative about me. There's beef in the air, and you talk a lot about...
This point doesn't really make sense to me, because it's like, why not, if you're gonna fight, why not fight someone that's actually... I guess he just... I don't understand the whole boxing thing. Maybe this is just something I don't get from his perspective, but it's like, why not fight the person? Why not fight just about anyone and everyone you want when you know you can't lose? No matter what you do, you're not going to lose this fight, because you're going to use it in your videos either way. You're going to use it to, like, dunk on people no matter what. To me, this comes across as him being disingenuous because he doesn't really have a reason to not... Or he doesn't have a reason to not fight him, but he can't think of another good reason other than the lawsuit. I think that's the last part of that. Let's see, what was this one?
But I'm just trying to focus on, like, the big chunk topics that we tackled.
Oh, this is him talking about the gaming and sports. This is another... I don't have that segment. This is just Charlie talking about it. But what came across as weird to me with this was... and Charlie says this too. He finds everything that's not like his Hustlers universe, his version of Hustlers University, to be a waste of time and a waste of effort that you could be putting into improving yourself. I think that's what this clip is.
One of them that we did touch on quite a bit and got pretty passionate about is gaming, and like Sneako firmly believes that people that are gaming or watching sports are wasting their time. Completely valueless. Entertainment like that has no value whatsoever. And I kept trying to point out that there's nothing wrong with entertainment, like watching sports, watching movies, watching streams, playing games. All that's fine in moderation. But Sneako only views it through one lens, which is excess, obsession, addiction, where all they do is watch sports, play games, do this and that. And then, of course, it is very detrimental, and it is bad for overall health.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a problem in general with the way Sneako talks. He doesn't seem to understand. People can do, like, small amounts of things without going, like, full on into it. You know, I don't really do things like game all day. No, I, like, do schoolwork. I'll do other things. I like to do games because they're a little bit more fun when I've got the time. But I try and break up my day into different things. It seems like he talks about, like, the incel type, the ones that are, like, completely more focused on, you know, I can't believe I can't pick up a woman type of arguments, stuff like that, where that doesn't apply to everyone, but he puts, like, a one-size-fits-all perspective on it. And I think that's kind of where Sneako loses a lot of his audience, is he could be a completely bigger streamer than he is right now if he would learn that, like, not everything is done, you know, things are done in moderation. People don't just sit down and watch all these things all day long. Sometimes they get up and they go do things. Sometimes they just have it on in the background while they're at the gym or something like that. Something that he advocates for. He advocates for you to go to gyms and stuff like that. So it comes across as really strange to me that he talks about it like there's no other way of doing it other than his way.
Health. I'm not going to bother showing clips from that because that one just really went in circles. I think
this is my only real criticism. He should have shown clips of that. He should have shown it going in circles just to demonstrate how Sneako really doesn't know how to have a conversation with people, and it's more about trying to sell a product than anything else.
There's just a fundamental disagreement there where Sneako believes anything that's entertainment driven is just not worth it, and time could always be spent better doing anything else. But then he puts his content on a pedestal that's an exception to his rule where, no, this content that I make is the one that's valuable. Everything else is worthless. This is the value. This, 4 hours, 5 hours of Rumble streaming and, whatever's going on over there, that's a good use of time, and all the other streams like gaming and all that's terrible. So that got really muddy and messy, and there wasn't really any way we met somewhere and like had a perspective that made sense to each other, because his stream is just as much guilty of
and that's what never really made sense to me. Sneako talks like it's an absolute Sneako talks like, oh, it's an absolute waste of time. No, it's not. Some people use it to quell their day. Other people, I do admit, use gaming as more of a addiction rather than what it should be. But guess what? You're never going to be able to fix those kinds of people. Mainly because they don't want to be fixed. They want people to just sit there or they just want to sit there and never really improve on anything that they're doing. And I think that is a serious problem, but it's one that society kind of perpetuates. No one really gets help unless they themselves seek out the improvement. Something that Sneako seemingly just doesn't understand. Not everybody can get help. Not everybody can be fixed in the same way that he was, or something like that.
Being a waste of time by his definition as...
I think that's the end of that clip. I'm going to move to this final clip, and That's
talking
really
about
good.
something and you went into PR speak and salesman.
Oh, this is exactly what I wanted. Okay, I forgot about this one.
Happened there.
Gamer, or they meet somebody that they can go start a business with.
That the merch isn't $50 for a T-shirt, but regardless, what I want you to recognize is what happened there. I was talking.
It is.
Okay, it's still not. But with what just happened there is I was talking about something, and you went into PR speak and salesman mode to talk about your course, and you attributed something to me that I actually talk against. I actually have spoken many times about why college just isn't right for everybody. It's not. It simply isn't. I think college provides an invaluable social experience where for the first time in your life you're on your own, so you learn how to fend for yourself, you learn how to interact with roommates, strangers, so you get social skills, but college is not going to be a great fit for everyone, especially when it comes to certain academia positions, especially like in some art fields. I actually talk a lot about that, but you keep lumping me in with this perception of a gamer and these beliefs that you don't know anything about me on, and yet you still put me in there.
Then you should probably make them more clear.
I do.
I've been personally watching your videos for years, and I had no idea about any of this.
So,
I've seen you gaming. I've seen you react to drama content. I didn't know that that was your method to make people happy, which I think is a narrative.
See, this is where I get into like, okay, if you didn't understand like this is what makes some people happy, how come you don't understand this? You seemingly understand what makes some people happy. And this is where we get back into that whole, he clearly doesn't have any idea. He does too much of this lumping. He lumps people together. All guys must like to go to the gym because I like to go to the gym. All guys must do this because I like to do this. I've met people like this, and even they don't do it as badly as Sneako does in here. But it is worth noting that I do think that he has a problem, like, with trying to admit when he's wrong, when he doesn't understand this concept. And I think it's more and more obvious as time goes on that Sneako is seemingly afraid of falling into irrelevancy, but I think he's more afraid that he's doing it too quickly. Because in my opinion, I think that he'll fall into irrelevancy quickly if he doesn't update his like way he does things from the current way to something else very quickly. You know, no one's gonna really, and I'm not saying this is like, this is more of a criticism. No one's really going to work with him. No one's really going to do anything with him because he's too one-sided. Oh, the Matrix. He does like what Andrew Tate does. Oh, the Matrix is coming after me. Oh, this is coming after me. Twitter's trying to cancel me. You know, it just doesn't work, dude. And, you know, what happens when his class... What happens when people stop paying for his class? Because eventually people will. He's more afraid that people will walk away from his class than I really think that he's afraid of him ever losing relevancy. I think he's on a one-track way to losing relevancy, but that's just my opinion. I think that personally, he's going to lose a lot of people, especially that incel type, if he keeps saying, like, gaming's a waste of time. Gaming is not, you know, gaming's not what you think it is. He's going to lose more people that way than he is going to from cancel culture. Yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say about this, because there's just nothing really there to talk about. There's nothing really more in this.
Narrow way of answering that question about what you believe in and what your belief system is.
Because he talks over Charlie so much in this, and that's what I really hate on this. He talks over Charlie because it's like, oh my god, let Charlie get 2 words in longer than like 3 sentences long. It's just like, holy shit, dude, let him talk. Because I guarantee you, they don't disagree on anything short of like how they view like gaming or how they view sports. I think that in a good way, sports and gaming can help someone in relaxing. I've always said that, you know, there's some benefit in like sitting down and playing a game. I think that when guys get angry at games, it's kind of a therapy for some guys. Why? Because inevitably in their head, and I know no guy is willing to admit this, I have sure as shit admitted this before, and that's what's made me stop playing a lot of multiplayer games, Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I've done that. And I just kept getting angrier and angrier and angrier. I just stopped. And I took a while, and I think I only recently gotten back into multiplayer games. And even then, I don't do a lot of the multiplayer aspect. But it's like, there is value in it. There is value in these things. And I just think that Sneako is so one-sided that he doesn't really understand, like, how could you say that there's value in a game when there isn't to him? And there's not. Not every guy, or every person, I should say, there's not value in gaming for every person in the world. Sometimes it's just to help from escape a reality. Sometimes it's genuinely something that they can find joy in. You know, and I think that's all I really want to say about this. This one went on way longer than I wanted it to. You know, let me know what you think, because I'm genuinely curious. Everyone has like a different view on Sneako and Andrew Tate, and I do. I want to know. In my opinion, I think both Sneako and Andrew Tate are pretty dumb, pretty stupid, but I think that there is some truth in what they say at times. You know, I just want to know what you think. All right. I'm going to end it there. Hope you enjoyed.